Hey, what is up, YouTube? It's kind of late. I wanted to get on here and do a stream real quick. Shout out to Anomaly. Thanks a lot, man. I was on my couch about ready to watch a show, and then I decided I would pop on and see what you were talking about. And you were talking about the very thing I wanted to talk about, and that has just been passionate inside of me lately. And earlier tonight, I was going to come out here and do a video, and then I got busy with family stuff and blah. Anyways, jumping into it. Guys, we are at a serious effing crossroad right now. This video is just going to be a rant, probably 10 minutes, okay? So just stick with me for 10 minutes. I know my average view time is not that, but if you could just stick with me and let me rant for 5 or 10 minutes, I'd appreciate it. I got to get this off my chest, and I think it's something we all need to be reminded of, even though it's all in the news lately, and we're all kind of talking about it. I don't think we're really grasping what's going on right now. Here's the deal with free speech. It is dying before our eyes, and we're allowing it to die before our eyes. Guys, I don't like this Ilhar Omar, right? And I don't like that she, I guess, has been... I haven't really been following all this... I've been all over my news feed. Now, I get the gist, right, of what she said. And she's saying these anti-Semitic things, and she's talking about Israel in a negative way and whatnot. And the right is absolutely up in arms in it. It's terrible. How can she do this? How can, this anti-Semitic, and the left and the right, both of them agree, which should be a clue that, wait a minute, let's pause for a second when both sides are totally in agreement on this. I think both sides should be in agreement on a lot of stuff, but most of the times we're not. And on the issues that we are, it sometimes is a red flag, because then I wonder really who's pulling the strings. But here's the thing. I am absolutely not anti-Israel, right? But I think it's a valid question to say, where do we pledge our allegiance to? Is it to Israel or is it to the U.S.? And I'm not claiming to be an expert on this subject, and I understand the plights of Israel. And like I said, this isn't a rant against Israel or saying that we should just give the finger to Israel or that's not what I'm talking about. But anybody speaks out in any way, shape, or form about Israel or says, hey, maybe we should limit some of our funding we're giving them. We can't even build our own wall, but we can give them billions of dollars a year. We can't even worry about our own immigration on the southern border, but we can give all this money to Israel every year. I think that should be a valid question. What I think shouldn't happen is us passing bills that actually starts to lawfully demonize our speech and lawfully starts to put constraints upon what we can and we can't say. Hate speech is not a thing. There is speech. You have people that are hateful when they speak, and you have people that are loving when they speak, and you have everybody in the gamut, across the gamut in between. But hate speech isn't a thing. It isn't a thing. Okay? And we can't pass laws. We can't pass laws. Democrat, Republican, I don't care what. We cannot pass any laws that in any way, shape, or form is going to assault or is going to constrain our Bill of Rights and our freedom of speech. Anything to do with the Constitutional Bill of Rights. We can't constrain that. We can't water it down. We need to embrace it more. The problem we're having in our political spectrum, and by the way, this video is just going to be a rant. I'm not going to put clips up. I'm not going to read stuff. I'm just ranting. I got to get this off my chest. The problem we're having in America, and we've been having for decades, is that we're getting away little by little by little by little. We get farther and farther away from the Constitution and watering it down and the Bill of Rights. And we just kind of start to slide off of that, and then we before you know, we look back. It's like when you make if you just barely make an adjustment in a measurement, and it's just off, let's say, 1/8 of an inch where you first make your cut, but you're going out 10 feet. By the time you get to the other side of the board, and you're cutting it just you're only 1/8 of an inch off when you start your cut. When you get to the other side, you're going to be inches off. You're going to be a foot off. I don't know if it's going to be a foot, but you're going to be noticeably way off track, and that's what happened to us with the Constitution. I got a couple notes just to rant out on, but hate speech, not a thing. Anomaly was touching on it again. He was kind of the one who got me out here in my man cave making a video. I was about ready to watch my last episode of Unsolved on Netflix about Tupac and Biggie, and Anomaly starts, and I'm like, damn it, that's what I was going to talk about, and I wanted to talk about. I read an article on it, and I was like, and then I was like, yeah, he got me fired up, so I'm out here. when it comes to the censorship on big tech, Silicon Valley, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of them, all the big time Silicon Valley, they are left-leaning, absolutely left-leaning. Anomaly's been talking about today about how when Tim Pool went on with Dave Rubin, he said how YouTube's very libertarian and they judge you on your merits, very merit based. And I love Tim Pool, and I actually don't totally know his politics. I just love the videos when he puts them out. I haven't watched them all, but a lot of them, and I really like his what he has to say so much. A lot of the times. But I absolutely agree. Anomaly kind of went off in a nice way. He wasn't rude to Tim, but he went off and he pointed some stuff out that was absolutely spot on. And I couldn't agree more with him. YouTube is not unbiased. Are you kidding me? Is that a joke? They are absolutely biased. Drone Tech, shout out to Drone Tech. Drone Tech, thank you for the shout out today that you gave me. He got demonetized about a month ago. He was about ready to go on with the State of the Union, and they just all of a sudden, some turd, who knows why, put some shit out on him, or did a reported him for something, and YouTube demonetized him and didn't even give him a reason why. Obviously, many people don't know who Drone Tech is. He's a content provider, does a lot on a conservative content provider, and he does a lot of calling the media bias out and the bullshit. Anyways, he had to go and delete. They didn't even tell him which video demonetized him, so he just had to go through and basically purge a bunch of his videos so that he could just get his monetization back, so that he could continue to provide for his family. He was making a pretty decent living off of Facebook doing this, and all of a sudden they just pulled the plug on him. They didn't even tell him why. Alex Jones, right? The list goes on. Gavin McGinnis. The list is just, I know I'm missing a ton. The list is long. The Silicon Valley is censorship. And, I guess this is where I have my breakdown in my philosophical or political philosophy breaks down, right? Because I am a libertarian by nature. I don't know. I'm libertarian. I think I'm libertarian. I'm libertarian. I don't believe in all of what the libertarians believe in. And I've been hearing all these things where people laugh at libertarians. I'm like, really? I didn't know they believe that. But I'm for small government. I'm for small regulation. I'm for or limited regulation. I'm for freedom. I'm for, and I'll list out all the things I'm for. I'm a conservative, more libertarian, right-leaning libertarian, where I just believe government needs to get out of our way, let businesses do what they're going to do, and don't regulate them. This is where where I diverge from that, I guess, is that when it comes to these social media platforms that now are the mainstream media for our free speech, for our mass voicing of our thoughts and our speech worldwide, nationwide, they are censoring, and it's getting scary because some of these big groups or some of these companies have gotten so big, they're almost too big to fail now. They're too big to stop. I was watching listening to Red Pilled America, another great podcast. Shout out to Red Pill America. They were talking about how YouTube came about and how they stole all their shit from Vimeo, right? And you guys got to go watch it. It's there. Just go watch it. It's episode 15 and 16, maybe it's 17, I don't know. But anyways, they talk about how YouTube ripped off Vimeo when it first started, but YouTube has gotten so big, and they got big because they let copyright violations happen in the earlier stages of YouTube. And then when they were going to get sued by Viacom and a $1 billion lawsuit, all of a sudden Google buys them. And now there's these other laws that had already been passed that sheltered YouTube and Google, and they've gotten so damn big, I don't know if we can even stop them. I don't even know if we can stop them at this point. I'm almost thinking it's possibly a lost cause. But here's my issue, and here's my point. the left or the social media giants of the world, the Twitters, the Facebook, the Google, the not the Googles of social media, but you mean what I know, and YouTube, and go on down the list. They're very left leaning, and they are censoring speech. Everyone's talking about the Joe Rogan podcast when he first had Jack Dorsey on, and then that it was a terrible. Joe didn't hold his feet to the fire at all, and then he brings Jack Dorsey back on with his attorney, and Tim's there, and they go back at him, and that podcast was pretty good, man. They really did hit him pretty hard, but they still, in my opinion, let some stuff slip, and they still didn't really hold their feet to the fire, and they still weren't maybe as clear and pointed with them as they could have been. Guys, the sexual definition, this whole transgender debate, right, where you can't misgender somebody or you're thrown off a platform. You have XX and you have XY. You have a penis or you have a vagina. Now, you can pretend like you have a vagina when you have a penis and vice versa, but that doesn't make you that. And you should not be able to be silenced because, well, that's hateful and you can't say that. That is my free freaking speech. And if you were going to limit that, you shouldn't be allowed to, and that's where I diverge from my libertarian point of view on this. Because what I'm saying is, yes, we sign up for their terms of conditions, but they have grown so large, and this is a new expanding technology and time where there's evolution happening before our eyes in the way our society interacts with one another. Then these companies that own that market and own that voice space, if you will, have so much power to where they basically say, you say what we tell you can say, and what we agree with you can say, and what politically lines up with what we think is correct, and we'll let you have a voice. If you don't, we cut you off. You're done. You're out. It's over. And to me, that is absolutely, we need to do something about that. And our spineless politicians need to step up and do something. We go after all these other companies that become monopolies like Exxon or all these other big corporations, and we say, that's I forgot the legal word right now. Antitrust, I don't know. It's not antitrust laws. Maybe it is antitrust laws. But basically, we break them up if they get too big. We say, no, you're too big. We're breaking you up. We need to do that with some of these Silicon Valley guys, because it's getting so big to where our voice is getting shut down. I'm amped up on this, and I know people are going to say, man, what are you on Ritalin? No, I'm not on Ritalin. I'm not on Adderall. Not anymore. I am just really fired up about this partly because I'm just now being able to start to get a voice. Getting my channel set up, and I'm really getting into being able to provide content and share my thoughts. And the reason I did it was because I'm conservative, and all these things going on, and all this PC culture was driving me so fucking crazy. I couldn't stand it. And so I was like, I'm starting a channel, and I'm just going to start voicing my stuff. And now all the stuff I'm voicing is getting censored, half of it. Like Facebook, right there, that's what I got for you, Facebook. Because every single thing that I ever listen, I don't have very many followers at all. Shout out to the followers, though, that were sent over from Joan Tech. All of you guys that came over. Sorry this is the first new video you're seeing. My bad. I'm a little fired up. But thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. But I lost my train of thought. Damn it. Bad part about live streaming. Facebook. I'll put a video up from YouTube onto Facebook. Nobody sees it. Nobody sees it. Nobody sees it. And then the whole thing just came out with Crowder, with Project Veritas. I'm sure most of you people are aware of that, right? Where they are legitimately deboosting and shadow banning Steven Crowder. Twitter has done the same thing. It's been proven that Twitter is shadow banning and will kick people off for whatever the hell they want to. YouTube is not doing what they say they're going to do. It's a user-based system. The best votes get the highest ranking. That's not true. They're censoring the shit out of it. Anytime you post and now conspiratorial videos. Anything conspiratorial is going to be absolutely censored. It's already been happening on Google for a long time, and on YouTube. Like I'm doing a series on the moon, right? Where I don't believe we went to the moon. I believe it was hoaxed. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't care. I don't think I am. But it's a fun little conspiratorial videos that I'm doing on that, right? And now I was watching one of my videos, and you probably all know this. Every time you have anything conspiratorial at all, there's that banner underneath your video. The moon landing happened, and it was blah, 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 blah. And they just have to program, man. You're not going against the narrative. These companies and those who control them and the powers that be that are behind them, sitting in the governmental agencies, and don't kid yourself that they aren't there. The shadow government, if you want to call it, or the deep state, they are controlling a lot of these social media sites. They are making sure that the mainstream narrative and history that we've been told will be maintained. And the reason they're doing that is because they're losing control. Because there is so many content providers. There is so many other voices out there. There is so many people that are sharing their points of view that say, hey, I don't think that happened. Or this is another way to look at this. The MSNBCs, the CNNs, the Foxes, the ABCs, NBCs, all the mainstream outlets of news push a narrative to program our mind with the propaganda they want us to think and how they want us to see stuff. And that is one of the things about Donald Trump that I really am. I'm warming up to that dude more all the time. I wasn't thrilled when he first got into office, but I'm really kind of starting to like him because he is not. He calls that fucking news out, man. He calls them out for the fake pieces of crap that they are. And I never did switch this over to this. I'm going to do this real quick. Put my ticker up there. Anyway, I don't know. I'm beating a dead horse here. The Ilhan, whatever, Omar, the bill that was passed that now is kind of censoring speech that you can't say anything against Israel. I am not for tearing anybody down. To go after and tear anybody down for the point of tearing them down. Being anti-Semitic, whatever that fully means. I don't know if I fully even get all of that, quite frankly. But I think Ilhan Omar's I don't like her. I'm not giving her props. I don't like her. But she did raise an interesting point, if we're being honest, in my opinion, which is, why are we being censored if we speak out against another nation, or we want to put our nation before another nation? To me, I agree with her on that. I don't agree with her on anything else. I don't like her, but I understand her point, and she's right. And for us to pass a bill that limits our speech in any way, shape, or form, or is going down the road of what Canada did, which compelled speech, and every other place in the world, the United States is the only last place for free frickin' speech. We're the only one left. And now we're starting to just chip away at it. We're just chipping away at it. Just chipping away. And before you know it, just like what's been happening with guns and all the new gun laws that are coming out that are chipping away at the Second Amendment, chipping away at our Second Amendment, it is the same thing going on with free speech, because they have to be able to limit our speech. This PC culture. I'm going to end with this. I've always said it. You can tell by some of my videos. I cannot stand political correctness. I believe it's cancer. I believe political correctness is cancer. I believe it is meant to absolutely control people. If you control people's speech, you control people's thoughts. If you control people's thoughts, you control people's actions. The big tech companies are leading the forefront on the political correct charge, and everybody's just lining in like fucking... lambs to the slaughter. Pardon me that I'm dropping F-bombs too. I know I don't like to have to be swearing, but we are being led away like lambs to the slaughter. If we get in line with this PC culture, it just happens little by little. I don't care if I offend you. It isn't my thing to not offend you. I don't want to go out of my way to try to offend you and put you down. But if I call you, if you completely look in any common sense, like you're a dude with a little bit of long stringy hair that you've been growing out, and you stuffed your breast or whatever, and I accidentally call you a sir or a him, you don't have a right to get super pissed off at me because I misgendered you. There's two genders, and you can't change that. You cannot change. Well, I take that back. You can change your gender if you want to. Absolutely. And if you want to go from Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner, whatever. If we're out and about and I see you and you want me to call you Kate, I'll call you Kate. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. But if you're going to compel me to call you Kate because now you're a woman, no, you're just a dude who had to filleted his wiener and stuck it up and did whatever he needed to do and had to change. But you still have an XX chromosome. You'll never have an XY chromosome. The definition in the dictionary says paraphrasing, whatever, but a woman is somebody who can carry a child who has eggs, who has an XY chromosome. That's a woman. We can't just go and change it and then persecute anybody else who wants to actually refer or believes in science and biology. It doesn't work like that. And this political correctness, little by little, you can't say long time no see because that could offend black or that could offend Asian people, or you can't ever dress up because at a costume party like an African American in any way, shape, or form, because, well, then that's blackface and that's appropriation there. And you can't do all these little things that are just chipping away at our society and political correctness. It's cancer. I'll never stand for it. It's disgusting. And it was one of the main reasons why I started my channel. But we need to wake up. We need to get together. We need to band together. We need to do something and put our, and I don't know what we do. We got to get our voices together though, because if we don't, we're going to have issues, man. There's issues with where our country is going. We cannot let this go anymore. We can't let this slide. Hey man, what's going on, Gator? I don't know if you're still there. Anyways, I just wanted to jump on and I wanted to just jump on because I was getting frustrated, man, with this whole free speech thing, and it's something that is, to me, I don't know, it's blowing my mind. And then, like I said, we've passed this bill now. We need to. This is something where this shouldn't be a partisan. This shouldn't be a partisan issue, man. This should be something we agree on. Our country was founded on some very important principles. There was a lot of shit we did that was wrong. I get it. I'm not defending everything America's ever done. I'm not defending a lot of policies we still do have in place. There's things I don't agree with. But when it comes to the Bill of Rights, when it comes to our Constitution, when it comes to your free speech, do not give it away. Do not give it away. And do not go quietly. On the conservatives, I'm talking to you right now. Guys, we can't be happy that a bill passed that's going to silence Ilhan Omar. That's absolutely right. Like Gator said, he goes, they're coming after all our liberties and rights, slowly but surely. And that is absolutely right. They are. I don't like Ilhan Omar, but you want to know what I don't like even more? Passing a law to limit or to silence her. Because now it's her, right? It's going to be us. It already is us. The big tech's already doing it. Big tech is already coming after us and doing it anyways. But now, and we've been so outraged, right? The right was so outraged at the censorship that was happening from big tech and from Facebook and all these other places. But now you're cheering. I don't get it. Now you're cheering that there's a bill, and I haven't even read the whole bill, so I hope I'm not totally talking out my ass. I just have read some clips on this that basically has said, that there's going to be some constraints going into place with what we can say about Israel or what we can say. I don't know. There's some bill that was going into, and I just read a blurb on it, so I'm not that educated. So I could retract this and say I was wrong. But what I read, what I think I was understanding was there's a bill that's been passed to silence Ilhan Omar and her anti-Semitic speech, right? And the right, the conservatives are cheering that? We're cheering that? Really? I don't know. That blows me away. Because I think that is something to the ends of the earth we should be fighting for. Hate speech is not a thing. There's just speech. Gator said, no matter if we like what anyone says or not, they still have the right to say it. Amen, brother. Amen. That's absolutely right. Whether you like what somebody has to say, they have the right to say it. Here's where we draw the line. It's real simple, guys. All you social justice warriors out there that say, well, that's just not right because you could hurt people's feelings, and there's people that kill themselves when they you calling me names and bling blah 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 blah. No, here's where you draw the line. When you call for action to get somebody killed, and you say, all right, I want everybody to go out and kill this son of a bitch. That is where you draw the line. When you are calling for action. Is that hard to understand? No, it's not. It's pretty easy. We already have those laws in place, guys. That's why you can't yell fire in a movie theater, because people could get trampled. People could get hurt, right? And so you can be held accountable for that. That's why you can't call for action against somebody. You can't call for violence or actionable offenses against somebody. That's where it's a threat. But I can say all I want till the cows come home, that if you have a penis, you're a dude, and if you have a vagina, you're a chick. And this is not against transgender. If you want to be a transgender, go for it. I truly don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't hate gays. If you're attracted to dudes, good, be attracted to dudes. Honestly, with my whole thing is, I don't care who you marry. I mean, I know we're switching gears here, but like when it comes to gay rights and stuff, I don't think government should be involved in marriage, quite frankly. I think we should be out of that. I think we should have freedom. But before I divulge into a big long rant. Right. Yeah. Gator said, as you read my mind, as long as it doesn't incite violence, and that's absolutely true. As long as it's not inciting violence, it's free speech. The hate speech isn't a thing. Right. Yeah, they all have the right to be miserable / married. Hey, dude, my wife might watch this. I'm just kidding, honey. I love it. It's just great. And it is. It's definitely has its struggles, but I digress. I am just like, I had to come out here, man. I was gonna, like I said, I was gonna sit down and watch a video and just kind of veg out, and then I listened to Anomaly, and he's going off, and it was the exact thing that I was gonna talk about on my next video, and I'm just like, I better just jump up and do one. But you can't just we can't sit back and do nothing. You can't do it. You can't do it. And I don't know what we do. That's the thing, man. I don't know what we do, because they've already gotten in the big tech. They've already gotten so big. I guess my faith is in this. There's always evolution in everything, technology-wise. So I think conservatives are going to get pissed enough by getting censored that there will be some sort of a viable, competitive, alternative platform that arises. I don't know how long that's going to take. And I don't know how much speech is going to get silenced in that time, and how much speech that's going to get silenced that's going to actually have real-world ramifications. Because if they just start really putting the brakes on all the conservative speech, that could play a role in who our next president is. And our next president, I have never felt this in my life, but I feel it now. The next election cycle is going to be paramount on which direction this nation takes. It's going to go quickly one way or another. We're either going to maintain and start pushing back towards personal freedoms and liberties and the Constitution and keeping our rights in place, or they are going to disintegrate quickly. And everybody out there who thinks that we just need to be more PC and we need to have a more loving society and we need to have a loving culture and we need to have a blah, 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 whatever, fill in the blanks. And we need to all be more understanding and sensitive. And no, I agree. We all need to be more loving as people. I'll be the first one to say that. And I'll be the first one to tell you I fail miserably at it at times, and I get fired up, and I'm a jerk at times. I believe that we should be a more loving group of people. But loving doesn't mean what the left tells you it means. That is not love. You know, it's so funny, to get just a sidetrack for a second. You know, we always talk about the left. The left always talks about we need to be more tolerant. We need to be more loving. There needs to be, you need to love everybody. But here's one thing that the left never talks about. The left never talks. You want to know what one of the definitions of love is? A very important definition of love? It says that love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. It isn't easily angered, right? It believes in the best. It hopes in the best. But here's one thing that's always stuck with me. And I think it outs this fake pseudo faux love that's on the left. It says love is not easy, or love is not easily offended. Love is not easily offended. And that is something that the left is there. That's what we mock all the time, conservatives. And we're like, dude, toughen up. Not everybody gets a trophy, right? We don't have to tiptoe around and walk on eggshells around you and be scared that if we say the littlest wrong thing, you're going to be offended or hurt your feelings. That's not love. So if they're acting like they're the loving party and they're the loving the loving side, and all of us conservatives and right people on the right are just these hateful, prideful, bigoted, redneck assholes. That's so not true. And one of the ways you can easily show that or expose that is by the fact that you can show and say, you know what, love's not easily offended. And you are the most easily offended group I've ever seen in my life. So there is a flag right there. That's a marker. That's a flare that goes off. And there's a bunch of things you could tell me that I do that I'm not loving. And I would agree with you. I'm not perfect on loving. But when that flare goes up, when you set yourself, but I'm not setting myself up as the most loving, tolerant, I accept everyone, we need more love group. I'm not in, I don't set myself out and on my virtue signaling pedestal and pretend like that's who I am. I want to be more loving, but I know I fail at it all the time. But you set yourself on this pedestal that you're the loving group, and there's a big flare going off behind you that says, no, your love's faux. Your love's fake, man. And one of the things that says that is your offense. Catch up on a couple chats real quick. Gator said, scary to think of conservative or constitutionalists isn't elected come 2020. Yeah, the media will try their best to stop this. The media is fear-mongering left and left. I mean, right, exactly. And that is true, man. It is scary to think what's going to happen if we don't get our brains together and become common, decent people, man, with common sense, common decency. Treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated. Get some thick skin. Don't be easily offended. Don't keep every record of wrong. Tell the truth. Try to believe the best. If we had that mentality on the left and the right, we could disagree on some things, but we could at least move forward together for common decency and a good common purpose. But that is not what's happening. There is a definite nefarious agenda at hand that wants to rewrite the American dream, if you will, the American vision. When I say American dream, I'm not, apple pie, Chevys, and, a house. I'm not just talking about that. I'm saying freedom and liberty. You can't control a people when they have freedom and liberty. And there's nefarious forces behind the powers that be that don't want you to have your freedom. They wanted you to have it for a while, and now they're trying to slowly take it away to gain control and power. Because you can't have control and power over people if people have freedom. And they want control and power. So what do they got to do? They have to limit your freedoms. So they have to find very slick and shiny and car salesman ways to start pulling the freedom away. And they do it under this fake virtue signaling BS way. And I'm just, this went 30 minutes and it was supposed to be 10 minutes, man. I went way longer than I was supposed to. It's always left versus right, black versus white, rich versus poor, man versus woman. It's not often you see media showing a viral video that restores faith in humanity. That's right. It's always negativity. It's always sad. And that is absolutely true. The only law that will rule, that would really, truly direct this country in the way it needs to go, the only law is the law of love. And I don't know where we get there, how we get there, when we get there. But it's the only law that works. And it's the simplest law to understand. It's really the most complex law to comprehend. And it's really one of the most difficult things to do, which is being a loving person. And, you know, this left compassion and all that, that's not love. That is not love. And there's many things on the right that aren't love. But I personally feel like those who are more on the right are erring closer to walking in the things that would bring us together, not push us apart. And when it comes to speech, it's being assaulted. And really, it's kind of what I had to say. What do you think, Gator? Gator's watching. He was watching. I might have lost him. You still there, Gator? All right. I think I'm going to end this. It's late. I got to go to bed. Oh, I got 4 people. What's up, Rational? How you doing, man? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, Rational said the left is not about love. It's about power and control. Love is about freedom, which is more right-wing. Absolutely. I definitely agree with you. That's not to say there's not loving people. There's not loving people on the left. That's not what I'm saying. But this whole virtue signaling and the way the left, the one thing I've never frickin' been able to stand about Democrats and about liberals is just that holier than thou bullshit, man. That pretentious bullshit, like this superiority complex that they have. That is something to me I have never been able to stomach. I can't stomach it. I just can't do it. And if you want to come to me and you have varying degrees on politics on the other side, you believe in, let's say, I don't know, socialized healthcare, or, you know, I can't really even get on page with some. I'm trying to think of some left issues that if somebody was respectful and humble, but they believe something else in me, I can have conversations with those peoples over a beer. I can eat jalapeno poppers or have some, you know, fries or tots with some beer. But I can't and have a conversation with you, and we could part as friends. But this holier than thou virtue signaling BS. Yeah, exactly. You know what? Rational, I can't handle it. Rational just put something up. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to read a couple of these. I'm going to get to a couple of your comments here. But, you know, Rational put something up. He said, 1 Corinthians 13, love's not self-seeking, not easily angry, keeps no record of wrongs. So, man, I've already been going 37 minutes. But I got a few people watching now, so I'll go for a little longer. My background, actually, I went to Bible college. I was my bachelor, my degrees in theology. I was going to be a youth pastor and all that. And I'm not going to get into my whole my whole backstory, but I fell out with the church in some ways, in the sense of the fake political stuff that goes on in church, the behind the scenes political, and I don't mean political in the normal sense. I just mean the political, positioning that goes on in church, and all the fakeness behind the scene that I was exposed to really turned me off to it. The religiosity, the self-righteousness, couldn't handle it. Couldn't handle it then. I don't like self-righteousness in liberals. I don't like self-righteousness in Christians. I have my faith, and I explain it to a lot of people this way. Faith is, well, the Bible says it this way too, but faith is, the substance of what you're hoping for and the evidence of what you don't see. So I don't ever care to try to defend my faith with people, and I don't get mad when people say, you believe in God? How stupid are you? Dude, we're all living by faith, and when you boil it down, an atheist is living by faith. You're living by faith as much as I'm living by faith. When you boil it all down, it's literally that simple. No, I believe in science. Well, a lot of science is based on faith. A lot of science is what they call theoretical science. They think this is what is going on, but they don't know for sure. And that's why science theories change when new facts are presented. So you can say there's no God, and that's fine. And this wasn't meant to turn into a thing about God. I'm going to tie it back to what Rational said here. You can say you don't believe in a God, but you're ultimately living by faith, just like I'm living by faith and believing there is a God. So it doesn't really matter if there is or there isn't at that point. My faith is my faith, and you're never gonna. I can never prove it. The very essence that it's called faith, I can't ever prove it to you. But what I can do is I can try to live what I believe my faith promotes, which ultimately, for me, is there's a verse called 1 John, or in 1 John, it's 4:7-8, basically, and it says, I might butcher this, but it says, hey, let us, and I'll put it in just normal English, I won't put it in King James. It says, hey, let us love one another because love is of God, and everyone who is born of, or everyone who knows God, everyone who's born of God loves God and knows God. He that doesn't know, I'm totally butchering this. He that doesn't know love doesn't know God, because God is love. It says, beloved, let us love one another because love is of God, and everyone who loveth is born of God and knows God. He that doesn't love doesn't know God, because God is love. So, that verse meant a whole lot to me and kind of changed my whole perspective on faith, which I'm not going to get into. I'll probably do a podcast on that someday, just for the hell of it, so people know kind of where I stand. I'm not a religious person. I use swear words, but I definitely have faith. Here's my point. I believe love truly is the only thing that ultimately matters. But love has been completely perverted and twisted to what we think it actually means. I'm going to go back up here because Rational said, he's talking about, first, he says, love is not self-seeking, not easily angered, and it keeps no records of wrongs. Love is not offended. Love is not easily offended. It says easily angered, but it also means right there, is not easily offended, not just angered, offended. And there was a point I was trying to make on that. I got off point. Thanks a lot, Rational. You threw me all off, man. I want to read a couple of these chats here. It says, the left's got that all wrong. Yes, they do. Gator said, laugh out loud. Actual left reminds me of the bathroom joke. Why are men on the left? Because women are always right. That's that's true. That's a dad joke. That was a dad joke, Gator. The right isn't always right. Far from it. But the left is going downhill fast. For sure. For sure. I'm hearing you. Rational says it's easy to be self-righteous, but it is one of the worst traits humans have, for sure. And it's caused a lot of deaths throughout history, from the religion to communism and everything else. Absolutely. And pride has. You know, one of the things I was going to get at is, really, I boiled this down in my mind years back. When we live our life, we have two choices we make. Every single day, you could boil down what you decide to do down to two different choices. You are either going to choose to be prideful in a situation or humble in a situation. Pride and selfishness are hand in hand. They're interlocked. Humility and selflessness are interlocked. When you're selfless, you're humble. When you're humble, you're being, well, not necessarily. Really, selfishness or prideful. Selfishness and selflessness are really the two decisions we're going to make every day. One leads to pride, one leads to humility. Are we going to lay ourselves down, or are we going to stand up for ourselves? And I'm not saying there's not times to stand up for yourself in certain scenarios. That's not what my point is. But you do have a choice to make every single day. Do I live selflessly or do I live selfishly? One leads to humility, one leads to pride. We are living in a generation and in a society and culture that is absolutely engrossed and entwined and wrapped up in selfishness and pride. Everything they do is selfish and pride. And if we as a society could start to learn selflessness and humility, all of a sudden all the problems in our world would start to melt away. If everybody could do it, pretend you threw a flip to switch tomorrow. I know I'm sounding utopiastic Nirvana speak here, but if you could throw a switch tomorrow and make everybody treat their neighbor with kindness and love and think of them before they think of themselves, you wouldn't. All of a sudden these problems would start to melt away in our world. All of a sudden we'd start to walk in humility. We'd start to walk in love and care for one another. It's not there. I'm not there. I'll be the first one to say, yeah, I know this is truth, but but I don't walk in it perfectly. Yeah, no, the greatest of these is love. It says, I'm hearing you. It's easy to be self-righteous, but I already read that one. It says, take out the higher power and live off the essentials from the 10 Commandments, and the world will be a better place. Yeah, you could even do that, for sure. For sure, Gator. No, yeah, everyone who loves is born of God. Yeah, for sure. And the greatest, and it's interesting in that same verse, 1 Corinthians 13, at the end of that, it talks about what love is. And at the end of that, it says 3 things remain. It says faith, hope, and love remain. And I always thought that was interesting how it said, well, what does that mean? Faith, hope, and love remains. But it says, so all these 3 things are always going to remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. And I'm like, well, if they're all going to remain, but the love is the greatest, why? Well, and this again, I'm just going to say by faith here, my religion. When we die, are we going to need faith anymore? No. We're going to know. Is there a God or is there not a God? Right? I believe there is. So when we die, we don't need faith. Well, hope is a component of faith. And when we die, we're not going to need hope anymore because it's over. You're done. Faith and hope don't need to go on forever. But love will always remain. Love will always remain. You'll always need love. You'll always be in love. You'll always be surrounded by love. Love will always be there. Do we accept it when we have breath in our lungs? And do we try to exemplify it when we have breath in our lungs or not? That's our choice. But when we die, it doesn't mean love goes away. I don't think. I think you're then introduced to it face to face. But that's a whole discussion for a different podcast, right? Guys, I've almost been out here for an hour, and I meant to do this for 10 minutes. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, do no harm. Greatest, yeah, Gator said the greatest of these is love, for sure. And it said, Rational said, my life motto, do not harm, help where you can, and understand we're all imperfect little gimps. That's true, man. That's good words right there. Rational also said, true humility is lifting others up without putting ourselves or anyone else down, for sure. Pride and ego can get bruised up. Gator said, pride and ego can get bruised up mentally and physically. Take pride in the work you do and what you have, but take nothing for granted. Everything comes to an end eventually. Our rights are not. Yeah. One of these things. Our rights are not one of these things. True. Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, I appreciate you guys jumping in on the chat and hanging out. I don't know how much more I have to say. I think I'm going to do another live stream this weekend. I might get into. Here's some thoughts for Gator and Rational. Why I still have you. I don't know where you guys are. I may lose you now. I don't know where you guys are on the moon landing. But I'm going to do another one of my episodes on wagging the moon doggy. You guys in for it this weekend? You wanna come over and jump in and listen to it? It's basically, Gator says, how goes it, Rational? Sending love from Midwest. God bless you both. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. All right, but hey, before you go, Gator, you should come back this weekend. Check in. I'll probably put a note up or reminder, whatever those dealios are, of when I'm going to do a live stream because I'm going to talk about the moon landing. I think it was a hoax, man. I totally don't believe in it. Total subject change here. The flag was blowing in the wind, but there was no wind in space. Exactly. Dude, but that's one of the ones they go for. There's so much more to this. I'm reading this series by Dave McGowan called Wagging the Moon Doggy. You guys should both Google it and read some of the articles. It's really cool. He's funny, really good reads. But there's so many things about it that just don't make sense. So I'm having fun going through it. And you guys, if you're into it, you should come check it out. But other than that, I'm going to sign off. I appreciate you guys jumping in the chats tonight and appreciate you guys subbing to me. And this was fun. So, all right, guys. Until next time, it's SJG Perspective without fear and without animus. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me again. Or not again. It was the first time. But there's going to be many more, right? Am I right? Am I right? All right, guys. Till next time. Later. Peace out. Bye.